Hello and welcome to Distributed Systems and Blockchain in the News. My name is Thomas Bocek, and this week is exciting since today, on the 3rd of January 2009, we are witnessing live the first block creation of Bitcoin. And it has the following message: Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. So we have a banking crisis and banks are starting to collapse. But wait, today we have the 11th of March 2023 and we learn from our past mistakes. So I don't think that there will be a banking collapse soon. That's silly. Well, maybe not. Anyway, this week has been a crypto roller coaster. And the big news is that the USDC is depegging. As you can see here, the USDC is a stablecoin. It's a cryptocurrency that is linked one-to-one to the US dollar, and it is designed to maintain a stable value relative to the US dollar, which is currently not the case. The goal of a stablecoin is not to be volatile as Bitcoin and Ethereum and provide a stable and predictable value. The USDC stablecoin is backed by a reserve of US dollar based assets, and if the demand of USDC goes up, USDC is the token, it will be created and US dollar based assets will be bought by Circle and Coinbase. So those are the owners of the USDC token, and if the demand goes down, US dollar based assets will be sold. And it seems that it's quite a bit that needs to be sold. And another issue, that the banks are not open on the weekend. So Coinbase tweeted the following here. They are temporarily pausing USDC and USD conversion over the weekend while banks are closed. Now, the question is, why do so many people want to sell their USDCs? There was a spike in USDT, and Bitcoin and Ethereum recovered a bit as well. So that could mean that USDC is sold and other cryptocurrencies are bought. But what happened? What's the problem with the USDC? Well, 25% of USDC cash reserves are at 6 banks. So Circle and Coinbase put their assets in 6 banks. And one of those banks is the Silicon Valley Bank, which has been shut down by regulators. And also DAI, it's another stable coin. DAI is also a stable coin, and if you look at the chart here, we see also depegging going on. That's because the DAI is backing their assets also with USDC, and if USDC goes down, then DAI goes down as well. Binance US dollar is under pressure as well. It recovered a bit, but we saw here it's also going down. They're also under regulatory pressure at the moment. And also reported about the last major stablecoin depegging, that was Terra Luna. That happened here in 2022. And I'm currently following up on Do Kwon in the news as well. So the question is now, USDC is held at this Silicon Valley Bank. The Silicon Valley Bank was shut down, but why was it shut down? So first, the Silicon Valley Bank is a bank that has many startups as clients. And the startup scene has already seen better times. However, this is not a pressing issue right now. And I was basically following this tweet on how to explain what happened. So during the good times, when the startups had lots of money, they stored this money at the Silicon Valley Bank. And since at that time the interest rates were super low, the Silicon Valley Bank bought long-term bonds, 10-year bonds, which yielded around 1.5%. That was quite a lot if the interest rates are close to zero, but now the interest rates are back up at 4 or 5%. So the Silicon Valley Bank is making a loss with those bonds. And now, since the startup has seen better times, they are withdrawing their funds, they need the cash. So the Silicon Valley Bank also needs somehow liquidity. And to get liquidity, they sold the 10-year bonds at the loss. The loss was roughly $2 billion US. And to cover for that loss, they did a fundraise of over $2 billion US. And this triggered startups to withdraw funds because they saw, hey, they somehow have liquidity issues. So the startups were pulling out funds. And this caused a downwards spiral, and this led to a bank run. The bank run, the clients, they tried to withdraw roughly 42 billion US, and the Silicon Valley Bank couldn't handle that, and now the Silicon Valley Bank has been shut down. That's the following article here from Bloomberg that explains it quite well. So that was the issue with the Silicon Valley Bank. Now, what's with the USDC? So with USDC, it is estimated that roughly 3.3 billion US sits at the Silicon Valley Bank, and Circle and Coinbase, so the ones who own USDC, cannot access those money. And this, obviously, the USDC holders, they see that and start to wondering, okay, what if this money is gone? So they are starting to withdraw or to sell their USDCs. So that makes them a bit nervous, and obviously they start to sell. And the USDCs or the USDC holder, they're not the only one. Other startups are in trouble as well. For example, there are companies who cannot pay their employees. So this has a huge effect on that ecosystem. For example, Conrad, they mentioned they are apologizing to client employees who did not receive their paycheck on time. And also other banks could be in trouble as well, because there's a good article here on The Economist. And here, this sentence, I think it's quite interesting. That said, nearly all banks are sitting on unrealized losses in their bond portfolios. So a bailout could happen soon. Early this week, Silvergate got also hit by a bank run. It's the following bank here. However, all deposits are safe, and here's a good article from CoinDesk trying to look at Silvergate and Silicon Valley Bank. The good thing about Silverbank is okay, the shareholders, they lost their money, but the deposits are safe. With the Silicon Valley Bank, it's not clear. The funds might be at risk. So we saw Silvergate shut down, we saw Silicon Valley Bank shut down. The question is, who is next? Well, anyway, that reminds me why Bitcoin was created. And on the positive side, the last banking crisis brought us Bitcoin. So I'm curious to find out if this will evolve to a next banking crisis. If this will happen, what will be the next Bitcoin?